now. Heave! Pull!
In the most inhospitable corners of the planet, where the temperature plunges far below freezing and the wind shears across the landscape with lethal force, survival is a constant battle against the elements. Yet, in this brutal environment, nature has engineered a miracle of insulation. This is eider down, a material so light yet so warm that it defies the laws of the cold. For the indigenous people of these frozen lands, this soft gray substance is more valuable than gold, a critical shield that protects new life from the biting frost. But acquiring it requires an intimate knowledge of the wild, a journey that tests the limits of human endurance and an ancient pact between the hunter and the hunted. The quest begins not with a sprint, but with a calculated migration. The community mobilizes, packing their lives onto sleds, entrusting their safety to the strength of their dogs. These animals are the engine of the Arctic, hauling heavy loads across a terrain that offers no quarter. The landscape here is a deceptive, endless white, a shifting maze of ice and snow where a single wrong turn can lead to disaster. Navigation is not a matter of technology, but of memory and instinct. The elders read the surface of the snow like a map, their knowledge etched into the land itself, guiding the tribe toward the remote coastal edges where the solid ice begins to fracture. As the frozen shelf gives way to the open water, the mode of travel must change. The sleds are left behind, and the kayaks are deployed. These vessels are masterpieces of engineering, unchanged for thousands of years. Frames of driftwood or bone, skinned with seal hide, they are silent, swift, and dangerously fragile against the crushing power of the sea ice. To paddle here is to dance with death. The water is cold enough to kill a man in minutes. Navigating through the labyrinth of icebergs requires nerves of steel and muscles hardened by a lifetime of labor. They are heading for the rocky outcroppings that rise from the sea, natural fortresses where the eider ducks congregate in their thousands. Making landfall is only the first hurdle. The terrain of the nesting grounds is rugged and unforgiving. The group must traverse slippery stones and moss-covered slopes, carrying their gear on their backs. It is a physical gauntlet that spares no one, Men, women, and children alike must climb, their breath hanging in the freezing air like steam. They move with a singular purpose, scanning the ground for the camouflage of the nesting birds. But the Arctic is a place of sudden, violent change. In an instant, the blue sky can vanish, swallowed by a whiteout. When the storm hits, the world shrinks to a few feet of visibility. The wind howls, driving snow into every crease of clothing, coating eyelashes and skin in a layer of rime ice. This is the moment where preparation meets reality. There is no shelter here, but what they carry and what they wear. Yet, even as the gale screams around them, the work continues. The connection to the land is spiritual as much as it is practical. When a nest is found, the harvest is conducted with a gentleness that contradicts the harshness of the surroundings. The gatherers approach the birds with deep respect. They do not take everything. To strip a nest completely would be to sentence the eggs to death, breaking the cycle that sustains them all. Instead, they carefully remove the excess down, replacing it with dry hay or grass brought from the mainland. It is a fair trade, warmth for the eggs in exchange for the warmth of the tribe. This sustainable practice ensures that the birds will return year after year, a renewable resource managed by those who understand the delicate balance of this ecosystem better than anyone else. With the baskets filled, the immediate danger of the harvest passes, but the labor is far from over. Back in the relative safety of the tents, away from the biting wind, the processing begins. This is a task of patience and precision. By the flickering light of oil lamps, fingers stiff from the cold work to separate the feathers and debris from the pure down. It is a slow, meditative process that brings the community together. Stories are told, skills are passed down to the younger generation, and the bonds of the tribe are strengthened. Every ounce of clean down represents safety, a guarantee that their families will sleep soundly through the long, dark polar night. As the expedition concludes and the weary travelers make their way back across the ice, they carry with them the harvest of the season. They are the people of the ice, survivors who have thrived in the harshest conditions on Earth by adapting, observing, and respecting the world around them. The storm may rage and the temperatures may drop, but wrapped in the gift of the eider, life in the Arctic endures, continuing a timeless rhythm that beats in the heart of the frozen North. At the top of the world, where the horizon dissolves into an endless canvas of white, survival is not a guarantee. It is an art form. This is the high Arctic, a landscape of extremes where temperatures plummet to 60 degrees below zero and the wind can strip the heat from a human body in minutes. Yet, for thousands of years, the Inuit have not only endured this frozen frontier, but mastered it. They have turned the very elements that threaten life into the tools that sustain it. It begins with the snow itself. To the untrained eye, it is merely frozen precipitation. But to the Inuit, snow is an engineering material superior to concrete or wood in this environment. The construction of the igloo or igloo is a testament to indigenous geometry. Using a knife carved from bone or antler, the builder identifies the perfect drift, wind-packed snow, dense enough to hold weight, but filled with enough air pockets to act as a supreme insulator. The blocks are not stacked like bricks, they are cut in a spiral. This continuous coil creates a self-supporting dome, a catenary arch that distributes the weight of the roof down through the walls, ensuring the structure won't collapse under the crushing weight of a blizzard. As the wind howls outside, it acts as a finishing tool, sintering the snow crystals together until the walls are as hard as stone. Inside this white shell, a transformation occurs. The temperature difference between the exterior and interior can be as much as 40 degrees, created solely by body heat and a single, small flame. This flame is the heartbeat of the home. It lives within the quollic, the traditional crescent-shaped soapstone lamp. In a land without forests, where driftwood is a rare treasure buried under snow, fire is a luxury. The fuel is rendered fat, blubber from seals or whales, which burns slow and hot. The wick is a marvel of botany, tufts of Arctic cotton grass or dried moss, carefully arranged along the straight edge of the lamp. Tending the quollic is a skill passed down through generations of women. It requires constant vigilance to ensure the flame remains even, smokeless, and bright. This single vessel provides the three pillars of Arctic survival: light to banish the perpetual winter darkness, warmth to dry damp clothes, and heat to cook food and melt water. Water is the paradox of the Arctic. You are surrounded by it, yet it is locked away in a solid state. Dehydration is a silent killer in this cold desert. To solve this, a block of freshwater ice, often harvested from a frozen lake miles away, is suspended above the lamp. As the heat rises, the ice weeps, drop by drop, into a collection vessel below. It is a slow, rhythmic process, a clock counting the passage of time in the quiet shelter. But warmth and water are only half the equation. The human body is a furnace, and in these temperatures, it burns fuel at a staggering rate. The Inuit diet is an evolutionary adaptation to the cold. With no agriculture possible, the menu is strictly carnivorous: fish, seal, caribou, and whale. Often eaten raw or frozen, this food is nutrient-dense. Raw meat and fat preserve essential vitamins, specifically vitamin C, which are destroyed by cooking. This prevents scurvy, a disease that plagued European explorers who did not understand the wisdom of the local diet. The high-fat content provides the massive caloric intake required to keep the metabolism firing, generating the internal body heat that fights the cold from the inside out. While the hunters scour the ice, life inside the igloo is a hub of industry. Survival here depends on technology, but not the electronic kind. It is the technology of the needle and the knife. Clothing is the first line of defense. A parka made of caribou skin is warmer than the most advanced synthetic fibers in the world. The hollow hairs of the caribou fur trap a layer of air against the body, creating a microclimate. The sewing of these garments is critical. A master seamstress uses thread made from sinew, dried animal tendon. When sinew gets wet, it expands, sealing the needle holes and making the boots, known as kamiks, completely waterproof. A single gap in a seam, a single flaw in the stitching could let the frost in, leading to the loss of a toe or a finger. Every stitch is a deliberate act of protection for a loved one. Tools, too, are born from the animal world. In the absence of metal, bone and ivory from walrus tusks become knives, harpoon heads, and needles. The shapes are organic, ergonomic, designed by hands that know exactly how the tool must perform in the grip of a frozen mitten. There is no waste here. Every part of the animal is honored and utilized. The skin for warmth, the flesh for food, the bones for tools, and the fat for light. It is a closed loop of existence, a perfect symbiosis between the hunter and the hunted. As the day, or what passes for day in the twilight of winter, fades, the igloo becomes a sanctuary of calm. Outside, the wind may be screaming at hurricane force, scouring the ice sheet, but inside, the thick snow walls absorb the sound, leaving only a muffled hum. A window, cut from a slab of clear freshwater ice, is set into the wall above the entrance tunnel. It catches the faint glow of the moon or the stars, acting as a skylight that connects the inhabitants to the cosmos while shielding them from the blast. The entrance tunnel itself is an ingenious heat trap. Dug lower than the sleeping platform, it acts as a cold sink. Cold air, being heavier, settles in the tunnel, while the warm air, lighter and precious, rises to the top of the dome where the people sleep. Elevated on a platform of snow, covered in layers of thick furs, the family rests in a pocket of warm air, defying the lethal freeze just a few feet away. This isolation fosters a rich inner life. In the golden glow of the stone lamp, stories are told, histories are recited. The oral tradition keeps the past alive, teaching the young how to read the ice, how to navigate by the stars, and how to respect the spirits of the land and the animals. It is a psychological survival mechanism as potent as the physical ones. In the vast emptiness, community and connection are what keep the mind intact. Even the waste is managed with care. The snow floor is scraped clean daily, fresh snow is laid down. Hygiene is maintained even in these impossible conditions. Everything has a rhythm, a procedure. Chaos is the enemy, order is safety. Sometimes the silence is broken by the shifting of the sea ice, a groan and a crack that reverberates for miles. It is a reminder that the ground they sleep on is not land at all, but a frozen ocean drifting over the dark depths below. It is a precarious existence living on the skin of the world, yet the Inuit move with a confidence born of deep understanding. They do not fight the environment, they move with it. When the ice shifts, they move. When the game migrates, they follow. They are nomads of the flow edge, untethered but deeply rooted in the culture of the North. As the long night stretches on, the sky above often erupts in color. The aurora borealis, the northern lights, curtain the stars in green and violet. To science, it is solar wind hitting the magnetosphere. To the ancestors, it was the spirits of the dead playing across the sky. Under this celestial display, the igloo glows like a lantern on the snow, a tiny beacon of humanity in the vast, indifferent wilderness. To witness this life is to witness the ultimate capacity of human adaptation. It challenges our modern definition of comfort. We often think of technology as chips and wires, but the curve of the igloo, the chemistry of the oil lamp, and the biology of the skin clothing are technologies of the highest order. They are designs refined over millennia, tested not in a laboratory, but in the fiercest climate on Earth. Here, in the white silence, time seems to slow down. The rush of the modern world feels insignificant against the slow drip of melting ice and the steady flicker of the moss wick. This is a life stripped down to its essence: heat, light, food, shelter, family. As the inhabitants sleep, the snow block placed in the doorway seals the world out. They are safe, they are warm, and tomorrow they will rise to face the ice again, masters of a frozen world that belongs to them. This is the roof of the world, a place where the sun disappears for months, leaving the land locked in a twilight of ice and stars. To the outsider, this is a frozen hell, a barren wasteland where life should not exist. But look closer. In the flicker of the firelight under the dancing spirits of the aurora, there is a pulse. Here, survival is not a struggle, it is an art form. This is the domain of the Inuit. For 5,000 years, they have walked where others would freeze. They do not fight the cold. They understand it. They know that ice is not just frozen water. It is a living, shifting landscape. It is the ground they walk on, the roof over their heads, and the map they read. Look at the face of the elder. The frost in his beard is not a sign of defeat. It is a badge of honor. His skin is weathered by winds that can freeze exposed flesh in seconds. His eyes, dark and sharp, have seen the white horizon shift 1,000 times. In this world of blue and white, fire is the most precious element. But there are no trees here, no wood to burn. So how do you conquer the dark? You turn death into light. The kulik, the soapstone lamp, burns the oil of the seal. It provides heat, light, and a way to cook. It is the heart of the home. As long as the kulik burns, the family survives. It is a tiny sun in a universe of endless night. Preparation here is a religion. A dull knife means a slow harvest. A slow harvest means freezing hands. And freezing hands mean death. Every tool is cared for with obsessive precision. Whether it is a blade of slate, obsidian, or traded iron, it must be razor sharp. Because in the Arctic, There are no second chances, but a man cannot survive the ice alone. He needs legs faster than his own. He needs a nose that can smell a breathing hole through 3 feet of snow. He needs the husky. These are not pets. They are the engine of the Arctic. Look at them run. They are built for this. A double coat of fur to trap heat, paws that act as snowshoes, and a metabolism that can run on pure fat. The bond between the Inuit hunter and his dogs is forged in iron and blood. They depend on him for food. He depends on them for movement. Without the sled, the Inuit are stranded islands in a sea of snow. With the sled, they are masters of the horizon. Travel is treacherous. The sea ice is a deceptive skin. It cracks, it groans, it hides the black abyss of the ocean below. A hunter must read the color of the ice like a book. Blue means hard and old. White means air and safety. But gray? Gray is the color of a watery grave. Yet they push forward. Why? Because the ocean is their garden. Beneath the ice, giants swim. The bowhead whale, the orca, the narwhal. To catch a giant, you must think like one. You must be patient. The whale ribs that rise from the snow like the skeleton of a fallen god are not just monuments. They are the rafters of homes, the runners of sleds. In a land without wood, bone becomes the steel of the ancient world. But the Inuit are not the only hunters here. There is a king on the ice. Nanook, the polar bear. He is the only animal that actively hunts humans. Standing 10 feet tall, he is a ghost in the snow. When a hunter meets a bear, it is a meeting of equals. There is fear, yes, but there is also profound respect. The Inuit believe that Nanook has a soul, an Inua, just like a human. If you kill him, you must treat his body with honor, or his spirit will warn the other bears to stay away. This is not a sport, it is a negotiation with death. Most days are not battles with bears, they are battles with patience. The seal hunt is a meditation. A hunter may stand over a breathing hole, a tiny aperture in the vast ice, for hours. He cannot move, he cannot speak, he can barely breathe. He waits for the sound of a seal exhaling, one strike. That is all he gets. That one seal provides meat for the family, oil for the lamp, and skin for the boots. It is the currency of life. Here, fire is scarce, so cooking is a luxury. Often the meat is eaten raw, frozen. To the modern world, this seems primitive. To the nutritionist, it is genius. Cooking meat destroys vitamin C. By eating it raw, the Inuit prevents scurvy. They get every ounce of energy the animal has to offer. The blood warms them from the inside out. And when the blizzard comes and the wind screams like a banshee, where do you hide? You build with the very enemy that tries to kill you, the snow. The igloo is a marvel of structural engineering. Using a knife made of bone or metal, the hunter cuts blocks of wind-packed snow. He lays them in a spiral, not a stack. The physics of the catenary arch distribute the weight perfectly. A man can stand on top of a well-built igloo. Inside, the temperature difference can be 40 degrees warmer than outside. It is a womb of ice protecting the spark of life. But the true fortress is the one you wear. Look at the clothes. This is not fashion. It is survival technology that NASA has studied. At the very crown of the earth, where the horizon stretches into an infinite white void, lies a world that defies the logic of human survival. This is the Arctic. To the uninitiated, it looks like a barren wasteland, a kingdom of death, locked in eternal silence. But this is an illusion. For thousands of years, this white expanse has been a home. It has been a garden. It has been a university of survival. This is the realm of the Inuit. To understand the Inuit, you must first understand the ice. In the modern world, we view ice as a hazard. But here, the ice is the land itself. It is the highway that connects nations and the platform for the hunt. The elders say that the ice never sleeps. It groans under the pressure of the tides. It cracks with the sound of cannon fire. It shifts and drifts, a puzzle that changes every single hour. To walk here is to read a language written in frozen water. A hunter must know the difference between the blue ice of a multi-year freeze, which is hard as steel, and the gray, slushy ice that hides a watery grave. This knowledge is not written in books. It is etched into the collective memory of a people, learned through the soles of the feet. The wind here is a physical force, a sculptor that carves the snow into waves of concrete hard drifts. Yet the people who stand in this wind do not cower, they stand tall. They have evolved a technology of clothing that surpasses anything created in a modern laboratory. Consider the parka. It is not just a coat, it is a wearable environment. Made from caribou skin, it is engineered to trap warm air against the body. The hollow hairs of the fur act as insulators, creating a microclimate that keeps the hunter alive when the temperature drops to 40 degrees below zero. The hood is often trimmed with the fur of the wolverine, the only fur that does not collect frost from human breath. The boots, the kamiks, are sewn with a stitch so watertight that a hunter can stand in freezing slush all day and never feel the damp. This is the first lesson of the Arctic. You do not fight the cold, you wear it. But a man is slow. To master the vast distances of the Arctic, the Inuit formed a partnership with a beast built for the ice, the Kimik, the Inuit dog. These are not pets. They are the engines of the North. Wolves in spirit, brothers in service. Their metabolism is a biological furnace, capable of running for days on seal blubber and frozen fish. The relationship between the musher and the dogs is telepathic. There are no reins to steer a sled. There is only the voice. Commands whiplash through the wind, guiding the team. The sled itself, the kamutiik, is a marvel of engineering. It contains no nails or screws. Instead, the wooden runners are lashed together with seal skin or rope. The sled is flexible. It flows over the violent terrain like water, designed to move with the landscape, not against it. As the caravan moves across the white void, the goal is always the same: energy. In a land without vegetation, life comes from the animal, the seal, the walrus, the whale. The hunt for the ringed seal is the ultimate test of patience. In the dead of winter, the ocean is covered by solid ice. The seal lives in the water below, but it must breathe, clawing tiny holes through the surface. The hunter must find a hole the size of a coin in an ocean the size of a continent. And then he must wait. He stands perfectly still, bent over the hole, sometimes for hours. He cannot stomp his feet to stay warm, for the seal hears everything. He enters a trance-like state. When the seal finally surfaces to take a breath, the sound is softer than a whisper. But the hunter hears it. In one fluid motion, the harpoon strikes. This is not a sport. This is the difference between life and death. When the seal is brought onto the ice, a ritual of gratitude takes place. The hunter drips fresh water into the seal's mouth, ensuring its spirit will return to the ocean and tell the others that this human is honorable. The meat is often eaten raw. This shocks the outsider, but it is a nutritional necessity. Cooking meat destroys vitamin C. By eating it raw and frozen, the Inuit prevents scurvy. The blubber is the fuel. It warms the body from the inside out, powering the human machine through the long night. But the blubber serves another purpose. It brings light. Enter the igloo. From the outside, a simple mound of snow. Inside, a miracle of thermodynamics. The hunter cuts blocks of wind-packed snow and lays them in a spiral. As the walls rise, they lean inward, defying gravity, supported by the physics of the catenary arch. A single man can build a shelter in 45 minutes that can withstand a hurricane. Inside, the body heat of the family brings the temperature up above freezing, but the true heart of the home is the kolik, the stone lamp. Filled with seal oil and a moss wick, this tiny golden flame was the only light in the Arctic night for thousands of years. It cooked the food, dried the mittens, and melted snow for water. Around this flame, culture was preserved. While the blizzard screamed outside, the elders told stories of Sedna, the goddess of the sea, and the trickster raven. In these warm domes of ice, children learned that they were not separate from the land, but a part of it. They learned that animals have souls, Inuit, and that the world is watching how you behave. But there are other eyes watching in the dark. The Arctic has a king, and it is not man, Nanook, the polar bear. Standing 10 feet tall, the polar bear is the largest land predator on Earth and the only animal that will actively hunt a human being. To the Inuit, the bear is a figure of immense power, often called the Great Wanderer. A bear can smell a man from 20 miles away. When a hunter crosses paths with Nanook, the air charges with electricity. The dogs howl, their wolf ancestry igniting. The sled is flipped to create a barrier. It is a clash of titans. The bear is intelligent. It moves with silent, terrifying grace. If the hunter is successful, there is no boasting, only humility. The bear's skin will provide the warmest trousers for the tribe, but its spirit must be treated with the utmost caution. As winter deepens, the sun vanishes completely. For months, the land is bathed in a perpetual twilight. This is the time of the great psychological test. But the Inuit look up and they see magic. The aurora borealis, the northern lights, ribbons of green and purple unfurl across the starfield. Science tells us this is solar wind. The Inuit know better. These are the spirits of the dead, the ancestors dancing in the afterlife. They believe that if you whistle, the lights will come closer. If you whisper, they will carry your messages to those you have lost. The lights are a reminder that in the Arctic, the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds is very thin. Then the great shift occurs, the sun returns. Spring arrives, not with flowers, but with the breakup. The solid ocean begins to shatter. Leads open up, cracks of black water forming vast rivers through the ice. The world becomes a chaotic, moving mosaic. Now, the narwhals return, the unicorns of the sea, navigating the cracks with their long ivory tusks. The bowhead whales, creatures that can live for 200 years, smash through the ice to breathe. The Inuit launch their kayaks, skin boats stretched over driftwood frames. This hunting is silent, precarious, and deadly. One mistake, one capsize in the freezing water, means death in minutes. On the land, the caribou migration begins. Millions of animals move like a brown river across the tundra. They are the resource that provides everything else: sinew for thread, bone for needles, antler for tools. Summer is a time of frantic activity and abundance. Under the 24-hour sunlight, children play until they collapse from exhaustion, because the sun never sets to tell them it is time to sleep. This cycle, the freezing and the thawing, the dark and the light, has forged a people of incredible resilience. To be Inuit is to be a master of adaptation. Look at the tools they created from nothing. The snow goggles carved from bone with narrow slits to protect eyes from snow blindness. The original sunglasses, the toggle harpoon, a piece of genius engineering that secures the catch. Every object tells a story of problem solving in a place where the penalty for failure is death. But the greatest tool of the Inuit is their mindset. They have a word, ayurnamat. It translates to, it cannot be helped. It is a philosophy not of giving up, but of acceptance. If the ice breaks and you lose your sled, ayurnamat. If the storm blows for 5 days, ayurnamat. Anger wastes energy. You accept what the land gives and what it takes away. You adapt. You move on. In the modern age, the Arctic is changing. The ice is thinning. The Inuit are walking a bridge between the ancient world of the harpoon and the modern world of the internet. Yet the old wisdom remains the anchor. They are the sentinels of the planet. They are the ones who see the changes first. They know that we do not own the earth. We are merely borrowing it from our children. As we watch the lone sled move across the vast canvas, disappearing into the mist, we witness the endurance of the human spirit in its purest form. They are the children of the north wind. They are the keepers of the ice. In a world that is cold, hard, and unforgiving, they found a way to build warmth. They found a way not just to survive, but to create a life of profound meaning at the edge of the inhabitable world. As long as the northern lights dance over the snow and the ice groans under the moon, the Inuit will be there, listening to the wind, respecting the hunt, and guiding us through the white silence. For thousands of years, the Inuit lived in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, where winter could last most of the year and survival depended on precision, patience, and absolute respect for nature. The Arctic offered no forests for firewood, no crops to harvest, and little margin for error. Temperatures dropped far below freezing, storms erased the horizon, and darkness could last for months. Yet within this harsh world, the Inuit built a way of life shaped by knowledge passed down through generations. Survival in the Arctic began with understanding ice. To an untrained eye, the frozen sea appeared solid and uniform. To the Inuit, it was alive and constantly changing. Cracks, pressure ridges, subtle color shifts, and faint sounds beneath the surface revealed whether ice could support a hunter or break without warning. Elders taught children to read these signs from an early age because a single mistake could mean death. Hunting was the foundation of Inuit life. Seals were the most important animal, providing meat, fat, skin, and fuel. Hunters waited patiently beside seal breathing holes, sometimes for hours or even an entire day, standing motionless in extreme cold. They listened for the faint sound of a seal rising beneath the ice, timing their strike with perfect accuracy. This hunt required not strength, but stillness, control of breath, and deep focus. Whales offered even greater rewards, but demanded cooperation and courage. Entire communities participated in whaling, using skin boats and harpoons designed to slow and exhaust massive animals without sinking. A successful whale hunt could sustain a village through long months of darkness. Every part of the whale was used: meat for food, blubber for oil and light, bones for tools, and shelter frames. Caribou hunts took place inland, following seasonal migrations across tundra and frozen rivers. Hunters tracked animals across snow-covered landscapes where wind erased footprints quickly. Clothing made from caribou skin provided exceptional insulation far superior to most modern materials. The direction of fur, the layering of garments, and the timing of hunts were all carefully calculated to retain warmth and mobility. Shelter reflected the same level of ingenuity. In winter, snow itself became a building material. Igloos, built from carefully cut snow blocks, trapped heat and resisted Arctic winds. Inside, temperatures could rise well above freezing from body heat and small oil lamps. In warmer seasons, Inuit lived in skin tents supported by whalebone or driftwood, designed to move with seasonal hunting patterns. Firewood was scarce, so light and heat came from seal oil lamps. These lamps cooked food, dried clothing, provided light, and warmed shelters. Managing fuel was critical. A poorly maintained lamp could mean darkness, cold, and danger. Every household knew how to tend flame and wick with care. Dogs were essential partners. Inuit dogs pulled sleds across ice and snow, carrying supplies and allowing hunters to travel great distances. Dogs also sensed danger, warned of polar bears, and guided people through storms when visibility vanished. The bond between humans and dogs was built on trust, discipline, and mutual dependence. Food was rarely cooked in the way outsiders expected. Much of the Inuit diet consisted of raw or frozen meat and fish, which preserved vital nutrients lost through cooking. This diet provided the fats and vitamins needed to survive extreme cold. Hunger was a constant threat, but waste was unthinkable. Sharing food was a moral obligation because no one could survive alone in the Arctic. Navigation relied on memory, stars, wind patterns, snowdrifts, and the shape of distant land. Inuit hunters could travel across vast white landscapes with no visible landmarks, guided by subtle cues, invisible to outsiders. Snowdrifts formed by prevailing winds acted as natural signposts, pointing the way home. Spiritual beliefs were closely tied to survival. Animals were believed to possess spirits that demanded respect. A failed hunt was not blamed on chance, but on imbalance, improper behavior, broken rules, or disrespect toward animals or the land. Rituals followed successful hunts to honor the animal and ensure future cooperation between humans and nature. Today, Inuit communities continue to hunt, travel, and live in the Arctic, blending traditional knowledge with modern tools. Snowmobiles may replace dog teams, and rifles may replace harpoons, but the core principles remain unchanged. Survival still depends on reading the ice, respecting animals, sharing resources, and listening to the wisdom of those who came before. The story of the Inuit is not one of suffering, but of mastery, a testament to how human intelligence, cooperation, and respect for nature can sustain life even in the harshest environment on Earth.